Welcome friends. My name is Jay and you are watching Ideal Talks with Jay, where every question gets clarity and every story inspires you to grow. Friends, every problem we face today, whether it may be stress, confusion, or overthinking, bad habits, jealousy, insecurity, laziness, list is long, but every problem has one root cause. And I'll tell you what is that. And that is lack of understanding about ourselves. We know everything about everybody and every place or everything in this world, but we know least about ourselves. It is because we choose not to know. It is because we ignore that side, but somehow we don't know about ourselves. And that is the topic of today. Today we're going to talk about the topic which is called self-awareness. And this topic will change the way we understand ourselves and the way we live in the society. So the question comes, what is self-awareness? Self-awareness in simple words is seeing ourselves clearly, seeing ourselves in real, not the version which words expect us to be, like our parents want us to be best daughter or son, our teachers want us to be best student, and our bosses want us to be best performer. And we put all the efforts to pretend to be as expected. But somewhere down the line, we forget to see that part of our mind which always tells us, make us aware, but we ignore that. And that is that our mind tells us that what are our triggers, what are our strengths, what are our fears, what are our blind spots, the weaknesses, but we ignore to look into that part. It is exactly the same way, like in the darkest room, nothing is visible, everything is dark, don't see anything. But as we put on the light, everything comes clear, everything is just there. Nothing new appears in that room when we put on the light, but what happens is, when you couldn't see anything, now you could see everything. So now you can choose what is useful for you in that room and what is not. If you don't know, if you don't put on that light, you will never know that what valuable is in there for you and what is unwanted. And that is self-awareness. Let me give an example. Friends, imagine that you are standing in front of a mirror to compose yourself and to ensure that you are looking good and presentable, but the mirror has a layer of dust. Doesn't matter how many times you change your clothes, how many times you make up, how many times you change your hairstyle, if you go to that mirror and see yourself, you will be never satisfied. And you know why? It's not your problem. It's the problem. You are not the problem. Your hairstyle is not the problem. Your clothes are not the problem. The problem is the mirror, the dust. What you need is a clean wipe or a duster to wipe the mirror off so that you can see yourself in real. So that is self-awareness. Similarly, doesn't matter how many jobs you change, how many relationships you change, how many habits, goals you change, nothing will change in outer life unless you clean your inner self or put on light and get the clarity that what exactly you are. And that is self-awareness. Let me tell you a small story about a king of one of the renowned and flourishing kingdom. The king was very rich, the kingdom was rich, but the king himself was restless, unhappy. But his subjects and his courtiers, they always thought that king is the most happiest person because he has everything, but that was not the case. That's why the king approached one of the monks who visited to his kingdom at that time, and he said to the monk that everybody who sees me, they think that I'm very happiest person, but unfortunately deep inside I'm not. There's something wrong with Monk understood the problem of the king, and Monk said, "Come with me, follow me." Monk took the king to a courtyard. There were 3 rooms, closed rooms with the closed doors. Monk asked the king to open the first door. King opened the first door, and what he sees is a big magical mirror in front of him. He sees his reflection in the mirror, and what he sees, fear on his face. He sees tiredness in his eyes. He sees loneliness in his posture, which he never realized before. It was hidden from him. He was facing that problem, but he was not aware of that. And then he said that monk that it has shown me something which I never realized. Monk said to the king, unless you know yourself better, you cannot heal yourself. And that was the first lesson of self-awareness. So, and then they proceed to the second door. King opens the second door, and what he sees is a big book, and the title on it was Your Story. When King turned the pages, and what he started reading, he read all his decisions he made in his life, all the mistakes, all the repeated behavior he made again and again, he did again and again. He was embarrassed while reading, and he was full of guilt. He said to Monk that, today I realized that how many times I repeated the same behavior again and again. And that's when Monk whispered to the king that awareness breaks the cycle. If you're aware, you will not make the same mistake. And that was the second message of the self-awareness, second lesson. And then they proceed to the next door, which is the third and final door. And in that door, when King opens the door, what he sees is a glowing lantern. King asked the monk, "What is this?" Monk replied, "This is the light of consciousness. If you always keep this lantern with you when you visit your inner self, you will be never in the darkness of unconsciousness again. And you will always see yourself very, very clearly." And this was the third lesson of the self-awareness. On that day, the king didn't get any new kingdom. He didn't win any new kingdom. He didn't get any new wealth or power or idea. What happened on that day was the king knew himself better, and that helped him to change his life completely. And he left the monk's premises happy and satisfactorily. So, as I said, how important is the self-awareness? Self-awareness is a master life skill every person should possess, because you cannot change something unless you know something is wrong or something work needed to be done. You cannot grow something unless you acknowledge something. You cannot heal yourself unless you cannot heal yourself if you are running away from that problem. If you know your triggers well, you can have a controlled reaction, controlled response. If you know your strength, you will never doubt yourself. Your confidence will be always high. If you know your fears, you will never allow those fears to control you, and you will be again very confident in life. Self-awareness never gives you a new life. Let me make it very clear. What self-awareness does is it unlocks the positivity of the life which we ignored our entire life. It is similarly, sometimes you might have realized that sometimes buying new things doesn't give us that happiness or satisfaction than when we discover or find something which has been lost in the past and suddenly it comes to our eyes. That happiness is matchless. You cannot have that happiness. That is what is self-awareness is. When you are self-aware, you find yourself back again, which was lost somewhere, and that happiness is paramount. Self-awareness comes slow, but when it arrives, it changes your life completely. And it is like a light in a dark room. When it's on, shadows goes away. So this is Ideal Talks with Jay, and if you got any message from this video, please do like, subscribe, and comment in this channel so that I can grow and learn from your thoughts and get some new videos, and we will have this community growing with positivity and with inspiration and motivation. Thank you all my friends. Until next time, bye for now. Take care of yourself and take care of your inner self. Bye.